Thanks so much for being here.
Dude, you brought me to a white room. This is I'm not sure if it's racist or amazing, but it's a beautiful room.
I want to spend all day in here. That's the goal. That's the goal.
It's coming, I'm sure.
Yeah. So in some of your previous content, you talk a lot about passion over profit. And the way I understood it is it's better to follow your passion than it is to follow your profit or follow wealth. Did I understand that correctly? Or what's your opinion on following passion versus following money?
It's funny. My coach this past week, I said a line and he said, you need to write that down. And I said, I sell presence and money is a byproduct of presence. So is happiness. So is legacy. So is basically everything we think we want in life. Learning to be present with all that is, with everything that happens in life. It all follows presence. So passion is a big part of presence. In fact, when you feel passion, it's the time you feel most present because you're the most engaged, because your heart and your soul is calling for this thing in your life. Have I made the most money I could have made? Absolutely not. I mean, yeah, I've done well. I've been very grateful for the hard work I did, and some of it was really unhealthy. But would I teach my children to follow profit or passion? There is zero question. Who am I to steal years of their life teaching them they should be unhappy to make more profit? And I've literally had fights about this, like in front of 100 people, like live debates about this, because I think it's so important.
I
think
love
that
it.
if you don't educate the next generation to follow their passion into a place that brings value to the rest of the universe, that brings value to other humans, like our value creation opportunity is always based in our passion, because you will burn out if you're not following your passion.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably still burn out if you have trauma and you're following your passion, but it's about how do you find the presence with both sides? And presence is the real gift, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not the expert. I'm just a dude.
I don't know. I think you might be. I think you might need to claim that you're the expert.
Maybe after this podcast.
So what do you think about the theory of, or I shouldn't even say the theory, but what about the idea of make a whole bunch of money doing something you don't like so you can have like a window or a space financially, you have some sort of financial freedom to then pursue your passion? Is that a wise move for somebody to take? Or is it just always follow the passion and the money will figure itself out?
Is it a wise move? I mean, what is wisdom then? It's a question for every individual.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful. I have some incredible clients, and I asked this client very recently, I said, what's your number? She said, what do you mean? I said, to do OnlyFans. What's your number? If you're willing to whore yourself out, if you're willing to put yourself and follow everything that doesn't follow your actual intentions, your desires, who you are as a human, to drop your values. It's not to say that anyone doing OnlyFans is a bad person. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying this person is a very conservative person. And I was like, what is your number? And if you're willing to whore yourself out to something that doesn't follow your passion, your drive, your like what you believe in, okay, you need to know what that number is. So if someone came to me, this actually happened last year from Google, and we had a conversation about doing some consulting, and it was like, cool. I mean, my number to work for Google is comical. I'm the worst employee on the planet. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 13, been working since I was 7. I'm a bad employee. And like to work on Gemini would be cool. I love questions. I'm a curious guy. I think it'd be really interesting to consult for an LLM, like a company working on an LLM. But like my number's astronomical. I'd probably do OnlyFans for less, right? So like
you'd be great at it.
I mean, I'd have like 2 subscribers and they'd both be you. But like when I look at this, it's like, what is your number to give up your values? Because to me, your passion is equivalent to your values. So if you're willing to give up your values, it better be a really good number, and you'd better have an end date, because you're a slave. If you're doing something outside of your values, if you're doing something outside of your passion, you are a slave. And I see people in business all the time. I have founders that I've worked with for years, and they are literally still a slave because they built a business that aligned with who they were and what they were passionate about, or what they could make a lot of money at. And then 5 years later, 8 years later, 15 years later, they're burnt out, they're overwhelmed, they're living in their trauma response, and they're realizing they're a slave to their business. So yes, I think that passion is very important.
Yeah. I love it. I can tell. Un poquito. You said something important in the when we first started, which was your passion is providing value to the world, which I think there's a big disconnect. At least my interpretation is, where so many people want to follow their passion, but their passion often doesn't actually add a whole lot of value. to the world in the way of monetarily is the value I'm providing doesn't have a huge monetary exchange. Therefore, that's why following my passion is actually quite difficult, is because I haven't learned how to create value.
I think that's kind of the entrepreneur's curse. Right? We learn how to interpret value. I had a conversation. I'm in the middle of, well, not the middle. I'm finishing up writing my second book. I had the manuscript done. It's going to an editor in 13 days, which is a little stressful. And I've been interviewing editors, and he gave me his pitch, and I was like, "That's a great pitch. You're charging 5 times less than you should be." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, so I went home and I started writing up, and I was like, put it in my own personal ChatGPT, LLM. And I was like, "Hey, here's what I would sell it for. Here's why I would sell it this way. Here's what I would do differently." And I can't help myself. I love to develop value. So like when you develop value and you can have an outsized return for that value, you're always going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the opposite side of that, the other side of the duality of that coin is, even when things are hard, how do you remain present? How do you take something that you just mentioned a moment ago, like it's not an outsized return, and go, that's enough because you're doing something that matters.
Mm.
It's that choice to be present through all of it. We have a very limited time in this podcast. And by the way, for those listening, we just met like 3 minutes ago. Like we started recording about 90 seconds after we met. So this is a whole new, like it's a great conversation to have. And I would love to go deeper, because to me, there's so many different layers to this of, if I tell you the whole story of my life, it sounds magical. I flip the duality switch and I tell you the truth of all the different elements, the things I had to overcome in order to be where I am today, the challenges of my relationships, my family, my businesses, and what's happened in the last year. It's the hardest year of my life.
Mm.
This is like, maybe not of my life, but darn close. Hardest financially in the last 10 years. Hardest emotionally, at least in the last 5. I'm the happiest I've ever been, because I learned how to be present with all of it and actually let myself feel the feelings instead of pushing them down, trying to make them go away, trying to work more so I didn't have to feel. Because when I worked, people told me I'm good, and that gave me all the love I didn't get as a kid. So I'm not sure if I answered the question, but I think I took you on a little roller coaster ride.
Sometimes I don't remember the question that I asked, which that's not even the point of it. So you keep mentioning presence, and presence is a thing that kind of like allows you to be wealthy no matter what.
Yeah.
What, for somebody who this is the first time they're hearing this, of which includes me, is presence equals wealth. Where do they start?
I would go further. Presence equals wealth. Presence equals actual happiness. I know a lot of very wealthy, unhappy people.
Of course.
I know a lot of very poor, unhappy people. I also know some really poor people who are the happiest people I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know some wealthy people who go through hell and they stay connected, they stay happy, they stay engaged. And that wasn't what I was taught growing up. I was taught, if you have a feeling that's not anger, it's not masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And what a tragedy. Like, what a tragedy to tell half of a species that anything they feel that's not anger, rage, vitriol, whatever word you want to put to it, it's not masculine. You shouldn't feel it. Not even that it wasn't what's right for you. It's you shouldn't feel it. So most of us, particularly men, and I work about 50-50 with men and women, but most of us, especially men, have pushed down every feeling of not being enough, of not having a good enough idea, of not being able to actually perform at work, into drugs, alcohol, sex, anything that makes them feel anything other than not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a mother wound that is so hard to heal. And I can say this because I've spent the last 7.5 years trying to heal mine, and it still throws its evil head into my face at least once a week. And when I say I spent 7 years, I mean, I literally, for the last 4.5 years, I've been retired. I have almost unlimited budget for healing. Today, I spent my entire morning in body work. I spent the next 4 hours recovering, and then I drove here. Like, that's my day. I had a great conversation with a client on the way here, but that's my whole work day.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most important thing in my life is, how do I heal? How do I get present with all the things I don't want to feel? And it sucks, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because the relationship I have with myself, number one, has unbelievably changed. With my bride and my 3 kids, there is no distinction. There's no distinguishable quality that used to exist that still exists in our relationship today. It is so much better.
Mm.
Like it's magic.
Love that. I love the dedication to doing the work on your side. For somebody who doesn't have 8 hours a day to do body work and recover, what was a really helpful thing for you when you were, let's say you were just getting started, maybe it was early on in your days of your healing journey. What was something that just kind of worked for you in figuring kind of all this out, the presence part of it?
Yeah, I mean, the first piece of it for me happened in 2019. It was October. My wife and I were getting divorced. Like, it's over. We hadn't sat down to write up a child plan or figure out how to split up finances, but we started having the conversations. Our relationship was so toxic. We were keeping score on both sides. I was working 105 hours a week because there I felt valued. There I felt like I mattered. There people needed me and I knew how to help them. And with her, I didn't. And we had so much hidden trauma, so many things that had happened in our childhood that we would just, I mean, for me, I broke my back twice and I lost 80% of my childhood memories. So like, I didn't have the memories. And for her, the nervous system does what the nervous system does, which is anytime that a child experiences trauma, it generally closes the loops around it so you don't have the memory because your body does not know how to process it. Your brain can't process abuse. And we went to a marriage retreat. The couple who told us to go are now divorced. The couple who led the marriage retreat are now divorced. About half the couples that were in the room are now divorced. And about another half of the ones that are still married, I think should probably reconsider. We went to this event and it was, it was bizarre. We come from very structured homeschool Christian background, extreme. I mean, we grew up in a cult. We got married at 23 years old and we both felt like we were old.
No.
Because all of our friends were already married. My older sister got married at 19, my little brother at 19, like crazy. And here we are now in our early 30s. We have 3 kids, very successful business in the tiniest, most passion-based niche in the world. And we hop in our airplane, we fly to Tennessee, we go to this conference, and they split the men and the women up. And the men sit on one side of the room and the women on the other, and they start teaching us how nervous systems speak to each other. Like, you and I just met, but your eye contact tells me that you care. The way that you're holding your arms and your legs. Our bodies tell us more than just our words, right? And then we witness this couple remembering their happiest moment and then their most like furious moment. And I'm like scared of this woman. I'm still a little bit afraid of her. Like I am. And they split us up even further and moved us into separate rooms. And they put the men together and they had us sit in good posture, back straight, deep breath into the nose, and out through the mouth. And after about 2 minutes, the leader says, "Gentlemen, what you're practicing is self-control." And I felt blind freaking rage. My whole life, everyone had always told me, "Eric, you'll be president or in prison." You need more self-control. Which all they told me was there's something wrong with you and you need something that you inherently don't have. Because for 30 years of my life, 32 years of my life at that point, no one ever told me what self-control was, how to attain it. I was diagnosed ADHD when I was 8 years old. And I have a high IQ. I'm pretty smart. It's the only test I ever did well on. I'm a homeschool high school dropout. But no one told me what this gift could be to actually have control of my nervous system. So if you're early in the journey and you want to learn a path forward, the first step of every path is your breath. And it sounds ridiculous, but if you want to get present, you're upset, your nervous system's triggered, things are overwhelming, your partnership is hard. By the way, every one of you that's married or has a relationship, the partner you've chosen is your nemesis. They're designed to trigger you more than anyone else. And that's not a negative. And also keep in mind, if you have children, any areas of friction that your partner doesn't touch, your children are like needles that go in and scratch off whatever needs to be, because it's how we refine ourselves. It's what our souls need to learn and grow. And so we can blame them, we can shame them, we can shame ourselves, all these things. And to understand like the first step when you start to feel that trigger, and it takes practice, is to get in your breath. For me, I still get in posture. Is it ridiculous to sit with a perfectly straight back, especially with a twice broken back? Probably. But I did it yesterday morning. And I held space for my wife, who's turning 40 tomorrow. as she's experiencing the loss of her father this year, all these other challenges that are in her life, and now her 40th birthday, and there's a lot of emotion there. And so for me to get present with her, instead of engaging, instead of feeling it's a tit for tat and feeling it needs to be a fight, it's how do I get present, not try to fix her, just be with her through her experience. So it starts in the breath. And it seems kind of silly, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's the breath.
Yeah. I think it was a really good call out that your spouse is your biggest nemesis.
And I don't mean that in a negative way.
Yeah.
It's actually they're your biggest gift because of that.
Yeah. Because me being a single man, we all think we have it. Like, I feel like my life is figured out when I'm single. And then I get into a relationship and I'm like, what the fuck? Why have nothing I've done as a single man?
We're allowed to say
worked?
the fuck word here. I've been like so
No,
good.
you can say whatever you want. But yeah, it's just like you think you've done the work and then you get into a relationship and all of a sudden there's this mirror held up. And you're like, wait a second, I still have so much work to do. And to your point, it's not a bad thing. It's an acknowledgement of there's still more work to do. And if we want to lean into the work, great.
Yeah.
If you don't want to lean into the work, then just be single. Be single, don't do the work, and you'll probably feel really good about where you're at in life. Or
until you're like 80.
Yeah, and then you're sad and lonely and all the above. But yeah, I think just acknowledging that it's not gonna be sunshines and rainbows with your partner. It's gonna pull at the hardest things in your life.
100% of the time.
You just have to be ready for that.
It's like emotional whiplash. That's what I have described it to my clients. Like I started coaching accidentally about 2 years ago. I was retired. I was on a podcast with a friend. He's asking my story. He's like, you own 4 companies, you make millions of dollars a year, and you don't work. Our daughters are best friends. That's how I got on this podcast. And he's like, you don't work. You're all like, every time I'm like, hey, you want to go watch WWE? And I'm like, I don't like wrestling, but sure, our daughters do. Let's go watch some wrestling.
Your daughter likes wrestling, WWE?
Because his daughter loves wrestling, right? So like, he knew that my story is true. Like I'm free. And then after we finished the recording, he asked me, he's like, hey, will you coach me? And from that, this coaching thing started taking off, and I love it. It's the work I'm meant to do. But you have to choose the pain. Like if you're going to go into a relationship, you're choosing to have every part of your life that could trigger you highlighted. And Friday was our 16th anniversary.
Hell yeah, congratulations.
I am so grateful. I never thought I'd live to see 30. I was a test pilot. I almost died a bunch of times. Raced motorcycles, cars, surfed. I mean, I was an idiot.
So the broken back twice is earned.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fully earned. 7 broken vertebrae, 5 herniated discs. I earned all of it. But I think that when we open ourselves to another person, and especially when we make additional people, when we start to have children, you can either push down all the feelings and things you don't want to feel by covering it up with dopamine, alcohol, porn, all the things that people do, or you can do the work. And if you actually want your children not to follow in your footsteps, not to carry on the curses of your family line, and dude, I could go hyper spiritual and talk through like the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, all these different things talk about family curses. They talk about these multi-generational things. I won't let my kids carry on what I had to carry. So they have to know that I've done the work to be present with all the things that have happened. They have to know exactly what had happened, because secrets create shame, and shame destroys everything. So changing my relationship with shame, being present with all the challenges, I think it's the most beautiful and challenging thing we have as a human, choosing to partner. Like, that's way harder than building a tech business, or any business for that matter. And by the way, every business is a tech business. If anyone says that they're not, they're wrong. But I love business. Like, that's way easier. I'll go start business. I actually started one a couple of weeks. I was in a podcast with a guy. We rapped, and I was like, hey, you work in tech. I have this idea. I got a text message a few hours ago. He's like, I got it figured out. I'm like, yes! Like, cool. We're going to have a new SaaS company. Like, that stuff's still fun for me, but it's not my priority.
Yeah. It's a game.
Maybe.
Okay. Tell me more.
Like, is it a game? I mean, in the same way, is life a simulation? Like, we're all playing a game. And if you're talking about the game of money, I was on a podcast a few months ago, and that week, one of my companies is an aircraft racing series. We bought it in 2022. Super cool series. When we bought it, they had 3 million viewers online throughout the year. As of today, we have 12 races across the country. It's STOL racing, so airplanes that take off and land really short, like bush planes in Alaska.
Okay. Is it the one where they fly like the Red Bull thing, where they fly through like the pillars?
No,
Okay.
that would be way cooler and way more insurance money. Ours is very safe. What's crazy about it is last year we had 87 million viewers. This year we're on track for 120 million viewers. We have one employee who's part-time. She works full-time. She's amazing. We have 1,400 volunteers. I started as a volunteer for this group, right? It's this super practical, interesting business. And I don't remember where I was going with this. Dadgummit. I lost my train of thought.
We were on It's a Game. Every company's a tech company.
So we have this crazy cool business. In July, our production truck and trailer flipped. They got hit by wind in Montana, flipped the trailer, caught fire, burned. Driver got out just fine, but everything was gone. So when we're going back to the game analogy, especially when it comes to financial games, everyone's playing the same game. If you're listening to this podcast or watching it online and you're making $15 an hour working at McDonald's, you're playing the same game I'm playing. When I lost $300,000 in a fire, that doesn't matter. I mean, it's a bummer. It sucks. It hurts the bottom line. It's just different sized chips.
Yeah.
And the sooner you realize that all the games are the same game, you just play at different levels. Maybe you're playing an incredible game as a single man, and I'm playing a very similar game with different pieces in the game because I have a partner and I have kids, right? We're still trying to figure out what life is. I'll be 40 in a few months, and like, I'm at the place in my life where I'm like, man, I still feel 7. Like, I hurt every day. It's really hard to walk. And what have I figured out? Like, choosing to be a coach was one of the hardest things I've ever done. There's so much imposter syndrome, so much disbelief. Like, I had to write a list of like all the things I've done in my life to like every time someone would ask me a question, like, I don't deserve to answer this question. I'm just a little boy. Leave me alone. 100%. 100%. And I see it in my parents my dad's nearly 80. It's like, I don't think that he's figured out more in life than I have. And that's okay. I wish that someone had all the answers. Maybe that's why religions are so popular. Tell me the truth so I don't have to figure it out. That'd be great. But I did find God after I left the church. That's a different story. Anyway, so yeah, maybe it is a game. And I think that part of it's just wiring.
Yeah.
Like some people are wired to create and to find value and to do things and also just to find bliss in the things that other people would find terrifying.
Yeah. We all have our zones of genius. We all have that unique thing that we are particularly great at.
Yeah.
And it's blissful for us and it's torture for somebody else. And I think a lot of the game of life is figuring out what is your zone of genius and then hiring other people in their zone of genius to do everything that is torture for you.
So we do a 3-month accelerator 3 times a year, and I bring in an expert. I love tests. I love tests. I was talking to
that IQ in you.
It's not a test like that. It's like personality tests, Enneagram, gene keys, human design, all these different things that help us have more shared terminology to share with each other. Because the more language that we can share, the more depth of understanding we have for each other, faster. There's also, I think that you can never overstate the value of ritual or ceremony. So like we have rituals and ceremonies around everything in our mastermind because like that stuff matters. Like the Masons figured this shit out a long time ago. All right. Like the Catholic Church figured this out a long time ago. Judaism figured this out a long time. Like if you're building businesses and you're not building things around ritual, ceremony, and shared language, you're doing it wrong. Like we should all try to build businesses that put you in a place of being an ethical cult. That is the most powerful form of community, and community is currency, right? So if we build these things around how do we have shared language, shared belief, shared ideology, and then ritual around it, that's fascinating and amazing. And one of the things we use is Working Genius. I brought one of my coaches, I paid her 2 years ago to help me like refine my message because I'm like, I've done a lot of things and I've been retired a long time. Like, how do I refine a message? Like, am I the pilot? Am I the entrepreneur? Am I the father? Am I the guy who's broken his back and recovered? Am I the guy whose marriage was falling apart and I recovered it? The guy whose brother died? Like, who am I? Who do I lead with? And I hired her for that. She has a system called Voice. She's amazing at it. And she also is a Working Genius practitioner. And just what you just said, that idea of borrowing genius from someone else so you don't have to step into it. That's my whole message. Like my whole message is like, if you're starting to wake up spiritually, you're starting to realize that you're meant for more, you've experienced some burnout, and you know that what you're doing right now is not going to last. You can't do this forever. You're going to die. We should probably have a conversation.
Mm.
And a lot of that is figuring out the areas that you just thrive in and giving up everything else. Everything else. Like, to a point where it's absolutely like comical. I think that goals are bullshit. Goals destroy us because when we don't miss them, we feel like failures. We create shame. Boundaries are everything. When I go to one of my coaching calls with my mastermind, my group, I don't prepare. I don't follow up. I don't, like, nothing aside from relational text in a group thread. Like, that's it. Because I built a boundary and I hired people that build out the entire program, and they have all the great questionnaires that go out ahead of time, and they follow up to make sure the questionnaires are filled out, and they check in to see where people are, and they make sure the connections are happening. And I do that by reflex now because I refuse to do something that's outside my boundary. Period. I want to be happy, man. My schedule is the best. Take the kids to school in the morning, come home. I'm free till 10. I usually work out. You wouldn't know it by looking at me. And then noon to 1:30 is time to connect with my wife. 3:30 to 5 is to play video games with my friends. Like, I still produce. I've written a book in 5 weeks this summer, and I had to break a few boundaries for that one. But it took me 18 months to write my first book. I was not doing that again. I was like, no.
You're like, that was actual hell.
Oh my God. That was the many forms of hell. So yeah, like, I don't know. I think it's a great concept. Like, how do we share genius? Because there's so many people out there who, like, I have clients. I have a client. His name is Emilio. Emilio is this fractional COO. He's a genius. I mean, he takes companies 8 figures, 7 figures. I can't share his exact numbers because I don't have them in front of me and I'm dyslexic with numbers, but he blows them up. He's an amazing fractional COO. And we're in week 11 of 12, and somebody asked for a link, and Emilio sends us a spreadsheet that has every link, every book cited, everything from every call for 90 minutes a week for 12 weeks. Oh, but he also had the 6 months of pre-calls. Every single thing ever mentioned. I'm like, some people speak spreadsheets and it makes them so joyful. I see a spreadsheet, I have a mini panic attack. And like, I've taken CFO training, like, to try to get over this. Nope.
Just accepting.
Just let somebody else have it.
Yeah.
Let them have the things that make them joyful. Like, that makes me really happy to pay people. It's really great. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
We were talking before we started recording, like, having someone that follows you around. In 2020, when COVID happened, my family spent 3 months at home because I'm asthmatic, and I was like, oh, I'm worried about this thing that might be bad. And I'm also a huge doomsday prepper thriller, like, book reader. Made me feel safe for a really long time. I haven't read one in a long time, but for years it was like 70 to 100 books a year. I'm just like, the world is ending. But we finally took a road trip. We hired this guy to follow us, and it changed everything. Like, I used to live watching my kids through this, watching their experience, capturing their experience, being present, but capturing. And I was a photographer for 8 years. I love photography. Giving that up changed the way that I show up for every single experience in my life. You can't go back. Like, it's a new boundary. Anyway, keep going. Sorry, I get excited.
No, I
keep apologizing. I'm passionate. I'm excited.
This is why you're here.
Yes.
This is exactly why you're here.
Our mutual friends that I had to come on this podcast. I know nothing about Elliot. He knew nothing about me, and here we are.
Those are the best conversations, because I find that you and I have a conversation with somebody I don't know anything about, then my curiosity is exponential because I don't know anything right now.
Right.
Which is, to me, that's the whole point of all this. Yeah. You okay, so I think this is at least this is the hardest thing for me. I'm going to speak for myself and not for anybody else. Is I know what my zone of genius is. It's the letting go of everything else. That is so hard. It feels like, I think part of you's dying. It's, am I valuable if I only focus on this thing? And am I actually adding value to my company, to my clients, whatever I do for work? If I'm not doing 80% of these other things and I'm only doing this one little thing, it's just so hard to let go of things.
100%. Do you know why?
Why?
It's different for everyone. Most entrepreneurs, being an entrepreneur itself is a trauma response. Something challenging happened in your life.
I feel
most
it.
of the time between the ages of 3 and 7. And we run away from that feeling of being inadequate, of not being good enough, of not being lovable for the rest of our lives. So when we find a business that we find so much that people bring us these words of kindness that we missed in our childhood. Oh my God, you're such a good salesman. Oh my God, you have such great hair, right? Whatever it might be. In my paramotor business, which is a little fan you put in your back, you run into this guy.
Wait, what?
Oh, it's okay. So one of my companies is called Aviator Paramotor. I started it in 2011, 2012. I don't remember. 2011. And I've been in aviation my whole life, loved flying. For me, my first trauma response was to fly. When I was flying, no one else could hurt me but me. So I felt safe. So for over 20 years, I flew 300 to 500 hours a year because I hadn't done the work to be safe elsewhere. That's why I've almost died so many times. But as an entrepreneur, we take on every possible task and we, as founders, become the best at it. Like when I retired at Aviator, I think I was closing 83% of our potential sales, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good close.
It's like your company's like unfailable at that point.
I mean, we grew 300% or more a year for 5 years, then stabilized. We were at $4 million in revenue with 4 employees. And then we decided to create impact over revenue. So we hired 24 more employees, scaled to 6 billion. And then my brother died. My whole world came crashing down. My marriage is falling apart. I discovered this thing called presence. I start meditating 2 to 4 hours a day, started therapy, like all this stuff happens at once, right? And when I decided to step down from sales, which was the hardest thing for me to release, because everything else, like, all right, you manage customer service, you love people, awesome. You manage shipping and receiving. I don't have to do that anymore. I used to check every box before I went out. Every box. I mean, I literally went to work at 4:30 in the morning, got home at 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week for months on end until I get a fever, go home, sleep for 3 days, go back to work. I didn't see my kids for weeks unless my wife brought them by the office because they woke up after me and went to bed before I got home. How is that a way to live? But on average, I had an assistant that actually kept a stopwatch and she checked. Every minute and 15 seconds, someone knocked on my window of my door to ask a question. Client, employee, didn't matter. They'd ask me a question and I knew the answer. And I built my life for this. I built my life to have someone ask a question, have me go, oh, I got you. Let me serve you. And then they were so grateful and they were so happy and I did such a good job. I was finally a good little boy. I finally mattered. And I needed that because I didn't have it for myself. I think that our deepest mission in life is to learn how to love ourselves. And there's a lot about me that's not worth loving. There's a lot about me that's been really hard. There's a lot about me that I regret. A lot about me that I have more to learn. And I'm doing that work every day. So I don't have to work 100 hours a week to feel like I matter. So to release things and let things go, I know that so far in this conversation, you probably think I'm pretty crazy because I've done some crazy things.
I love crazy.
I'm probably the most cautious person you've ever met.
Most entrepreneurs are.
I am so risk adverse. Yeah. Yes, I will loop a paraglider and I will do aerobatics in an airplane. I'll race motorcycles and I'll surf giant waves in freezing water and don't mind sharks at all. Sharks are my friends. But I worked my way up to these things. I learned all the statistics. Everything's a process. So when I decided to start stepping down at Aviator, a big part of it was how do I relinquish without damaging the culture of the company and especially without hurting the clients. So the number one thing, which I tell every client this, the first thing we start with, the first conversation is around what's most pressing. And the very next part of the conversation is, what is your vision? What is your mission? What is your why? And not just the top line why, but 7 whys deep. Like, why do you exist? Why does your company exist? How do you serve the universe? How do you serve other humans? What are you doing? Because if you don't know what that is, and so ingrained in your body that everybody who knows you knows why you do what you do. I have people who have no idea what I've done, but they know why. Every one of my companies aligns with my personal mission. My personal mission is to help myself and others be fully present with all of our fears and overcome them to be present with who we truly are. Every company has some form of that in it. And we've acquired a bunch of companies. We've built companies. Like, it's second nature. So when I started stepping away, I had to make sure that I reaffirmed for every member of our team why we did what we did. And 2.5 years ago, we moved to Texas. My companies are still in Florida. We still own 100%. I did visit this year for about 15 minutes when I was there for my father-in-law's funeral. It's great to see the team. They're wonderful people. I love them to death. They really are. They're like family. And when we lived there, they were our only friends, like, because I was a workaholic. But If you affirm why you do what you do, your team buys off on it. Aviator's 100% alumni run now. It's every single member of the team, including people we hired to come run the mailroom. 6 months in, one of the perks is you get to learn to fly for free. He went and learned to fly, and now he flies every day before work.
That is so cool.
How cool is that,
what
right?
a great company.
It's incredible. I mean, our average employee takes between a 30 and 90% pay cut to come work for us because they live the mission. They've experienced what we do. They understand the change we make, and they want to be a part of it. Yeah. So once you have that really refined what you're doing, then the rest is systems. And there's systems for everything. There's processes but especially as the founder, how do you step out? Well, it's okay, first and foremost, do you know how you use your time? Most of us don't. Mm. I could tell you how much time I spend in the bathroom. Not anymore, but when I was working, I did because I charted every 15 minutes.
It was on your calendar.
It's an app. There's an app for this that you can literally click. And not only do you click, I was doing blank, you also click, did it make me happy?
Yeah.
1 to 10. Was it important? 1 to 10.
Yeah.
How important is this? Is this valuable use of my time? Is it making me happy? If anything's less than a 3 on the happiness, or anything's less than a 5 on the importance, those are the things you give up first. And they're not hard to give up. I hated email. 300 to 400 emails a day. I hated email. It felt like it was a mistress that knew where I lived, followed me to bed, and would stab me in my sleep. It's the worst experience. And how do you give up your email? I mean, people do it now. There's AI for this, but 7 years ago, 5 years ago, there's nothing, right? Well, your inbox, you have hundreds of thousands of emails. My VA, she's amazing. I've been working for her for 3.5 years. And part of when I hired her, I said, you have to Google or search my inbox for 3 hours before asking me a question. It's worth it to me. She's in Colombia. She's amazing. She has her own staffing agency now. She places people for my clients. Partly because when I hired her, I said my goal was to hire her whole town. If I'm going to come into a village in Colombia, I would love, she was making $6,000 a year in her 6th year as a controller for a trucking company when I hired her. And I was like, I want to hire your whole town. I gave her a 50% raise that day, right? And she was over the moon for $980 a month. Yeah. Now she makes significantly more, and we're working on hiring her whole town. We're getting there.
No, it's so cool.
But part of it was, it was actually not her specifically when I first gave up email, but I had another VA, and it was all right, you're going to go through the email, and you're going to write drafts to every email. You're going to search through my inbox, find the answer. Rarest thing in the world is a unique idea. The rarest thing in the world is a unique idea. So you know how rare a unique question is? Someone else over the last 11 years has asked the question before. You're going to find the answer. You're going to make an email in my tone. Now with AI, you're going to make it in my tone with my GPT. You're going to put it in drafts, and I'm going to review. I'm going to open Loom. I'm going to set a 20-minute timer. I'm going to go through every email in 20 minutes. Good. Nope. This is a wrong fact. This is where you're going to find the right fact. I apologize that I understand you got confused. Next. And then after 3 months, don't make drafts to send them. Give it up. Sales? Way harder emotionally. And you mentioned this feeling of death, this feeling of loss. It's an ego death. It's the ego that has protected you and allowed you to feel like you're safe in who you are. That ego death is real, and you need someone. That's why I say everyone needs a coach, a mentor, and a community. If you don't have those 3 things, you're screwed. You are dooming yourself to failure and burnout. You have a coach that can guide you and remind you that hold you accountable for, you want to spend time with your family. That's your number one goal. You're not going to do that in your email. You're not going to do that in sales. A mentor who's already where you want to go, that's someone you can look up to. And that person can be the same. Coach should be incredibly well paid, by the way. It should be uncomfortable as hell. I just paid 50% of my monthly income to a coach. Because it needs to hurt. When he tells me to do something, it's not a question of how quickly I can say yes. It's yes, of course. Okay, it'll be done. It's already done. Let's go.
How do you advise somebody so coach, mentor, and what was the third one?
Third one is community.
Community. Okay. So somebody's in a position where let's say they can't afford a coach for whatever reason. Maybe it's just a lifestyle habit and they just built their lifestyle in the wrong way. What's a good way for them to get moving, to get started in the right direction? Is it find the mentor first? Because a lot of mentors, technically could be free.
It's really hard to find mentors if you're not doing anything.
Yeah, fair.
Mentors want mentees who are badasses, who are overcoming challenges, who are working really hard, who have a vision and a mission and a value system that reflects their own. I found my first mentor when I was 13. I followed him around a conference for 4 days, carried his coffee, carried his briefcase. Anytime he would look for something, I'd hand him a pen. Whatever he needed, I was ready.
Yeah.
13 years old, desperate. I knew I wanted to live the life he was living. Doing that in today's modern age, you probably get arrested, especially if you're an adult. So I think the first step is what they're doing right now. If they're listening to this podcast, they have a drive, they have a hunger, they have a belief in themselves that they're made for something more. And feed that. I mean, I'm way less than I used to, but I read 2 to 4 hours a day. I consume a couple podcasts a week. I mean, on an average week, I might watch 2 hours of television. Maybe that much. I enjoy it.
Oh.
It's something I do with my wife. It's one of the things we do that allows us to feel like we have a shared experience when we've had a full day. But like that's, if you really want to change your life, you change your priorities, you change how you use your time. And if you can soak in wisdom from others, and like community can fill that in even more so. Like the people you surround yourself with create who you are. Like I want to be as pretty as you. So I already invited you to go work out with me because like,
let's go.
Now I'm going to be challenged. I'm going to be challenged to look different. Like the guy I work out with every day, he's got an extra 20 pounds on him, right? So I feel comfortable, right? So if I hang out with guys who are models and are shredded and doing these things, like, of course I'm going to challenge myself to step up. It's challenging ourselves by who we surround ourselves with. So if you can't afford a coach, first off, everyone can. There's people who charge $5 on Fiverr. You can go hire an accountability coach for $5 a week, whatever it is. There's people around the world who want to do good and they don't have any marketing platform. They don't have the baseline. They don't have the experience, but people want to help people. Yeah. And 2, change the community first. That's the number one thing. And keep freaking learning. Don't be afraid to read a book that terrifies you. I just listened to a whole podcast on ketogenesis and like I was like, or ketogenesis. See, there you go. Ketosis. And like the number of words that I don't understand. I'm like, but I don't need to, but I'm fascinated. And it's important to someone who's important to me. So of course I'm going to try to understand it and learn it and research. And spend not just like cursory research. I've probably spent 15 hours in the last 2 days, 3 days, like just reading shit. Wikipedia is amazing. Like there's so many things you can learn from. Like, why do you hold yourself back? And also, if you live in America and most other places in the world, in a first world country, the library system is incredible.
Yeah.
The amount of content you can consume for free. Also, Austin Public Library, shout out. Bet the Central Library is the coolest building in town.
Honestly, like I should just spend all day there. Every time I go there, I'm like, why don't I come here more?
Dude, so we have 3 kids, 10, 12, and 14. And when we have friends come visit, like I had 3 clients fly into town this last week for this wonderful experience, like a somatic experience, music, dancing, singing, all this awesome. And I've been talking about it for years. For months, rather, I should say. And I take my daughter with me. And so they flew in to go to a 3-hour dance party, right? And my friend Garen Jones runs it. If you don't know Garen, you're coming on Saturday. You have plans now.
Love it.
Anyway, like the first place we take all of my clients, all of our friends, like we show up, they're like an adult person from Nebraska. They're like, why are we going to the library? I'm like, I promise, it's really cool. There's like Harry Potter staircases and there's so many books.
It's so
it
cool.
feels magical.
It's so great. It's so such a great place. I love there's a couple of things that I really want to touch on. One that I think will be actually really important the reason why I think it's important is most people I know struggle with it. And this is the calendaring system you talked about in a way to, one, log all the stuff you do. So you talked about spreadsheets earlier. I'm like obnoxiously good at spreadsheets.
Oh no. I thought we were going to be friends, man.
You could give me a spreadsheet and tell me nothing about what's in it. And I can tell you everything about what's in there in a few hours. And I could probably diagnose an entire company based on just data alone.
Don't look at my spreadsheet. Whatever you do, don't look at my spreadsheet.
Anyway, so I used to import my calendar into an Airtable. And then I would score every event that was in my calendar of what I was doing, the ranking system, why it was there, in order for me to better understand, well, how am I actually spending my time? So for you use an app, but you would mention this thing, if it's below a 3 happiness or below a 5 priority, then you get rid of it. So for somebody who either wants to use an app or maybe it's a spreadsheet, I don't know, or their calendaring system, like, okay, so could you kind of walk through that again of how to look at how you spend your time and start to notate things that are taking up your time in a system or a process that you could remove?
Yeah, so the first thing is to recognize that everything you spend your time on, you can pretty much outsource to anybody.
Yeah.
there are very specific things that don't work. Time with family, doctor visits. Like you can't send someone else's blood, right? I mean, you can, but it's not going to work well for you. But drive time. When we moved to Austin, we put our kids in an acting academy, which is an amazing school. We love it. And we were living down south, and it was 9 miles north. And if traffic was good, it was 12 minutes. If traffic was bad, it was an hour and 35. And we're from a very small town in Florida. Like, traffic's not a thing. And once a year, there's a Iron Man that goes through. Like that's pretty disruptive, right? So looking at that, I was like, I have to tabulate what's the cost.
Oh.
Like I know what my hourly rate is. I take my net income divided by the hours a week I work. Like it's pretty clear what my hourly. And I realized I could buy an almost $3 million house, more than what my budget was, to move closer to the school because it would save me that much time over the next 8 years.
No.
Like $3 million of my time spent in a car. And that was being really kind. Like the average drive time was, I think, 21 minutes. The average drive time was probably closer to 30. But I was like, all right, like worst case scenario. So like you start thinking through what your actual leverage you can pull are. And maybe you don't have the means to do that. But like, I was like, well, do we buy a $6 million house or do we hire a driver? I didn't want to give up the time with the kids in the morning. That time in the car is magic.
No.
Talking about what their goals are, what their KPIs are for the day, what they want to see their return from the day be. And then their mom picks them up, my wife, every day. That's her thing because she gets to connect with the other parents that are there. And it's really special. It's like that. So it's like, okay, well, the obvious move is now no longer like, well, let's hire a driver. Let's do these things. Like we were looking at a house in Lakeway and it was like, well, they had a helipad. So I was like, well, we could, fly the kids. And like, I'm just trying to think outside the box.
Yeah.
Like most people, you create the box you live in. And for most people, they're the victim of the box. They live in their victim. They live in this place of, I can't.
Yeah.
If you throw I can't out the window and make everything a possibility,
it's fucking wild.
It's wild. Actually, the house that we put an offer on does have a helipad, but it's not a Lakeway. And there's no helipad at the kids' school. But we'll work on
different
that.
school.
We'll work on. No, I love this. We're in this school for life. I'm a lifer. This school is amazing. But it's like, how do you start thinking through things from a different lens of everything is possible, and I don't have to be an absolutist. And most of the time that we feel like something is impossible, it's because we've chosen to be the victim. And I have every excuse to be the victim. Every excuse. We go down a long line of things that have happened to me. And the deeper I got into the work of being present, the more I realized that nothing happened to me. It all happened for me.
Yes.
And if you start going down the Taoism and everything else, you realize it all happened by you. And you're like, oh, crap. But it's fascinating. So to go back to your question, I'm trying to Toggl, TOGGL.
Oh, yeah.
Toggl.app is the website that we use right now. We've tested a few others, but most of my clients like that one best. And you just track your time and then you give a value of happiness and impact. And as you're trying to figure out what to offload, I try to offload the things that make me least happy first.
Okay.
Even if I'm doing something that's not that impactful, if it makes me happy, I'm still going to do it. Driving the kids to school is not that impactful,
no.
But it makes me really happy. I'm awake anyway.
Oh.
Get to have a brief conversation. My 12-year-old rides his one middle school every day. So like, I don't get to hang out with him anymore in that way. So I have to create new times to connect with him. But it's special. It's like, it's this special thing. So finding the things you can offload that make you unhappy. And a lot of my clients, I had one guy, 3 companies.
Active at the same time. One, good for him.
Somewhat in the same vein. Like one's a mortgage broker. One's a full home builder, and the other is a hard money lender. And over 6 months, he had the realizations that, like, 1, he had all the money he ever needs. He thought he was broke. 2, he only really loves one of those businesses, and he was able to close the others that actually freed up 90% of his time. 3, money didn't matter as much as relationship with his wife and kids. So to hell with working this much. Right. So like, it takes it's a process like that to get to that place in 6 months is really fast.
Yeah.
Like that's a lifetime of rewriting your software, because your software is what's created by your trauma and by your parental experience, right? And then we have all the affirmations and indications from high school, college, business school, whatever it might have been, or homeschool, high school dropout. I dropped out because I was making more money than my parents. I couldn't afford to go to college. I was making bank. I sold 280 airplanes by the time I was 13 to 18 years old.
Crazy.
right? I owned 49 before I was 18. That's weird.
Who owns 49 airplanes?
A guy who's obsessed with getting away from everyone who's trying to hurt him. Right? I was kind of sad, but it's true. So as you start to see, okay, this makes me really unhappy, and you might not see a way out. Like for a lot of the people I've worked with, they don't think that it's possible to find a way out. I promise you, if you find the right mentor, the right coach, and or the right community, which could be all three, and you lean in with intention and vulnerability, you're like, man, if you're a realtor, I hate open houses. Of course you hate open houses. Open houses are the least likely to help you sell a home of anything you could possibly do as a realtor. Statistically, it's the biggest waste of your time, and you give up every Sunday to do it. Stupid. Who can you hire to do it? Are you contractually obligated to have an open house? What if you take it out of the contract? Like statistically, it's shown that you're never going to sell a house because of an open house. Like not never, but it's like, It's fractions of a percent. It's so small, right? So why don't you change the way you do business to no longer do that? Because it's not actually impactful. It's just the status quo, and the status quo isn't freaking working.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you following something that doesn't work? So it's just the different perspective. And that to me is why it's so important to have people in your life that you're actually honest with. And that's what coaching and mentors and community do. And I have all three. And I'm locked in. I live this life between the healing work and like yesterday was almost 9 hours with two different men's groups I'm a part of. One I've been with for 3.5 years. That's online and virtual. The other one is in person, called Front Row Dads. It's an amazing group of family men who choose family over business.
Oh, cool.
And that's why we moved to Austin. That was founded here. So there's 70 families. It's like, that's my community. We play volleyball every Saturday. Like this, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like finding those places where you fit in and you belong, and then going, hey, I've got this problem. I need support.
No.
And they pour into you because you've been pouring into them.
Mm-hmm. What would you suggest for anybody when it comes to building community? Because Austin is obnoxiously easy to build community. And I don't think a lot of other people who live in, other countries or other parts of America have the same access to incredible people and community that we have here in Austin. How would somebody get started? Do you think like online is a good way to go because you can kind of find like these small niche communities that are actually obviously very broad? Is it just doing shit you love and eventually you'll meet people that also love the same thing? What would you do? Especially as a man. I mean, men, we're lonely. We're just lonely people. We tend to
You think that,
lonely.
But actually, I think women are in more of a crisis for relationships.
Really?
The feminine has been so pushed down, and we can go into archetypes and all this stuff really deeply. We don't have time. I'm looking at the clock like, oh no.
I appreciate your awareness.
I'm like a 2 to 3 hour podcast guy. That's my favorite. But I think that women really struggle even more because there's less, like for men specifically, most men or many men will have an experience through at least high school and many of them college playing sports where they have a non-transactional relationship with other men.
Mm.
That's incredibly rare for women. But everyone has this crisis. You and I, how old are you?
36.
Damn, it looks good. For most of us, so we grew up in the information age, right? We grew up in this age of technology and information where information was the number one thing. We're creating e-commerce and it's all like I sold PDFs for $50 for a long time, right? My kids aren't growing up in that age. They're growing up in the community age. I think we're going to see a massive outpouring of new religions, new cults, new places where people can feel like they found themselves. I mean, the number of dentists I know who own Harleys and dress up and play Harley rider on the weekends, the number of different people who, and by the way, dentists are one of the highest rate of suicide in the world.
Really?
It's incredibly lonely. And you're staring into people instead of actually seeing people. Right. And so like you start to look at these different things, these different levers, and the reality is community is really hard for all of us, especially in America. Our culture is one of the most radicalized me first cultures in the world. Like if the rest of the world is let's say 30% community focused, we're like less than 0.3. We are so focused on having personal value versus bringing value to others and having community that builds us up. And so it's going to be a crisis, especially when you add AI. We're already seeing these stories of people who are doing terrible things based upon their conversations with AI. So real human connection is going to be the most powerful currency of our next generation. And it's a huge opportunity on the financial side and the business side. We're talking about business opportunities. I'm like, yeah, I want 100,000 people who are doing the work interpersonally, the somatic work to be fully present. Like, I want to be able to fly to Japan, be like, oh, you're in my community. Let's do life together. Can I move in with you for 3 months? Like, that's the kind of community I'm building, because I want other people who are aligned on the work. But how do you do it in a small town? Well, I'm from a small town in Central Florida. The first step is to move to Austin, Texas. After I close on my house. No, I'm kidding. I mean, that's a radical step for most people, especially with 3 dogs and 3 kids. Oh. But if you find where your community is, don't walk, run. Double down. If you're in a place where you can't build community, I have a wonderful client. I was talking to him earlier today. He's in Nebraska. He's going through a divorce. He's having it's a tough time, and he's doing the work. And he's a farm boy from the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. It's 40 minutes to the nearest Walmart, right? We're talking to him. We're trying to help him figure out how to like offload pieces of his life. And like one of the things in his time block that made him unhappy was grocery shopping. It was like, why don't you use Walmart delivery or, grocery delivery? He's like, what's that? Right? Like, it's just a different world.
Yeah.
But the wisdom that I have for him, I actually heard this on Jay Papasan's podcast this morning, the One Thing podcast. And I can't remember his guest name, but she talks about ritual. She says, if you want to build community, the number one key, and I could totally take credit for this, but I'd rather give it to her. The one key is setting a ritual. So I play volleyball every Saturday morning in Zilker Park. I'm there 15 to 30 minutes before sunrise to get my court. And it's an open invitation. And I put up a thing in my community, my group of people. I have 35 people I text every Friday to let them know if it's on or off. And we'll have anywhere from 10 people, 5 people, to 50. It's ritual. They have the expectation that I will be there. I have the lines. I have the balls. We're ready to play at 7 every Saturday. If I'm out of town, I let them know. Oh. And oftentimes I hand it off to another leader or someone who's an up-and-coming leader. I'm like, hey, I'm going to put you in a text thread with all these people individually, not a group text. It's an hour and a half of work, right? Every Friday. But that's a religion for me. This is a ritual that's deeply valuable. I can't walk on Sunday. Like, my pain is off the charts, and I'm terrible at volleyball. But to play a game with other men, to be able to challenge each other, to bring my 12-year-old son every weekend who wakes up early after a school week because he wants to go play. One of my buddies, Danny, another great podcast, the Mind State podcast, Danny Mulvihill, his daughter is about to turn 14. She gets up at 5 a.m. to do her makeup and her hair so she can be there to play with a bunch of dads.
Oh, that's so cool.
How special is that? Like, what 14-year-old girl decides that? Well, it's because we do it. It's because it's a ritual. So whether it's I'm going to walk on Wednesday mornings and you're going to be there at 8 a.m. or every morning or whatever it might be, that you can start to create a ritual where you're building community by other people. They may not be exactly your person. They may not be the people who you want to have in your community forever. But there are, especially if you're in any space that has more than 10,000 people, it's surprisingly easy. I was in Seattle a few weeks ago and I met a gentleman there who, just a genius guy. I found out later he is the senior vice president of Morgan Stanley.
Okay. So actual genius.
Like an actual genius. But I met him at his club that he started so he could have conversations with his friends. And like, it's a private members only club. It's not cheap. It's very exclusive, but they invite conferences who have members that lead conferences to come have their after parties there. And I was like, that's genius. Like, you have a great way to, and there's no business. You're not allowed to pitch. There's no business pitching. So you remove this transactional element. Real community is not about transaction. It's about depth. And to me, depth leaves with vulnerability, shared experience, ceremony, and ritual. And what is volleyball? Ceremony, ritual, and a lot of shit talking.
Always.
Oh,
yeah. Well, Eric, I really appreciate it. That was just phenomenal to kind of hear your point of view. I think we need about 5 more of these, which they'll come.
Yes, they will. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to see where you take this, because what little bit I've seen of you in the 15 minutes I researched you before we came to this podcast, you have a real gift. And your desire to see people shift their idea of what equality means, I think, is something the world needs so desperately. To understand that love is not just a 4-letter word; it's how we show up for each other, and I think that is a message that the world needs to see. So, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate those words.
Absolutely,
all right, brother.